Secretary of State Mike Pompeo is with us. You know, for Bibi, this has been something, and I've known him all these years, all these decades, that he has discussed and talked about that Iran is an existential threat to the world, that they can't have nuclear weapons. Now we had a partner in President Trump. Here's the most spectacular thing, though. They didn't learn a thing from Operation Midnight Hammer. They didn't learn anything about the Israelis knocking out all of their, missile defense systems, all of their air defense systems. And what part of 14 bunker buster bombs that Trump used to obliterate their nuclear program did they not remember? They seem to have forgotten.
Sean, this is what ideologue, theocracies, thugs, evil bringers do, right? They're not. It's not about lessons. It's not about logic. If this was about logic, they would have found a way to strike an arrangement where they would have given up the capacity to build a nuclear weapon in exchange for just being a normal nation and getting sanctions relief. But that's not what they chose. They chose to continue to build, to continue to take Chinese missiles, anti-ship missiles, that deals with the Russians, to try and continue to kill the little state in Israel and to destroy the great state in America. This is deeply buried. You know, we've been talking about this for over a decade, you and I, Sean. But long before I was even the CIA director, this is a regime that was unreformable. President Trump finally said the risk was too great. It's time to go. And now you can see it. The rial at 1.7 million rial to the dollar, an economy destroyed, and a military that's on the cusp of being defanged as well.
They seem now to be just flailing and firing missiles indiscriminately all over the region. It's just no rhyme or reason or seemingly any purpose to it. How do you interpret that? We know there's regime change because everybody was killed in the first 30 seconds, including the supreme leader. What is likely to emerge here, and how would you expect that happens?
My sense is they're going to fight to their last breath. And when I say they, the 49 people who replaced those 49, who are soon to probably be replaced by the next 49, leaving massive gaps in the mid-level leadership as well. I think they'll continue to try to cause harm and try to convince the world that the cost is too high so that we'll all back off, that the West will lose its will to actually continue to defang the Iranian regime. I don't see Prime Minister Netanyahu or President Trump doing that. I don't see the Gulf Arab states any longer being willing to tolerate this kind of threatening regime that has been sitting across the straits for them. I think they're all in as well. Everyone understands this is the moment to complete the task, to take down their capacity and their will. And I think we're well on the way, even though we're just at the beginning of day 4, Sean. There's still a lot of targets, a lot of work left to do. And President Trump has demonstrated his willingness and commitment to completing the mission.
You know, maybe the historic Abraham Accords, maybe that's the pathway. And I did ask the prime minister whether or not that would continue and how crucial Saudi Arabia would be in that process. And more than open. And as you know, in your time being Secretary of State, it wasn't talked about a lot, but there was intelligence sharing and there was a common purpose between the United States, Israel, the Jordanians, the Egyptians, the Saudis, and other Arab countries against Iranian hegemony and against the nuclear-armed Iran. That reality now seems to be achieved, but that began in President Trump's first term. You were a part of it.
Yeah, Sean, that's absolutely true. Look, it was quiet then for political reasons. Now that's been unmasked. Now everyone can see openly that it is the Islamic Republic of Iran that's killing Muslims throughout the region intentionally, indiscriminately. You pointed earlier about indiscriminate. These aren't military targets they're going after. They've gone after hotels and civilian infrastructure, and now the energy infrastructure. I think the Chinese Communist Party is going to have a really difficult decision to make, right? They need this oil far worse than we do. And if the Strait of Hormuz is threatened in any serious way, we'll do our part. But the Chinese Communist Party's got a real commercial problem. And your point is well taken. The Abraham Accords set a model, the basic, simple recognition of Israel's fundamental right to exist. And I think every nation in the region, and frankly, Islamic countries in Asia as well, are going to come to see it that way. And a really good turn for the world will have been done by President Trump putting America first and taking these actions.
Am I Pollyannish to believe that there's a real shot at a long and lasting peace now in the region?
You know, Sean, I pray that it's so. There's a lot of history there. I think the opportunity, however, is real. And we know this. Had President Trump not taken these actions, had he just allowed this to continue as the way that previous presidents had for so long, the chance of that was precisely zero. This opens that opportunity. The Iranian people will be part of making sure that that is a real opportunity, and then so many good things can flow from this.
All right. Former Secretary of State Mike Pompeo, thank you.
Want even more Fox News on YouTube? Become a Fox News Patriot today. Click join to find out how.
Operation Epic Fury is taking a serious toll on the mullahs. Trump says the Iranians want to talk, but it's too late.
They have no Navy. It's been knocked out. They have no Air Force. It's been knocked out. They have no air detection. That's been knocked out. Their radar has been knocked out. And just about everything's been knocked out.
1,000 Iranian fighters have also been knocked out. And that doesn't include the Ayatollah and his lieutenants. Earlier today, the remnants of the regime were holding a vote to pick the next supreme leader when the meeting ended early due to an Israeli missile. The president says the damage was substantial and a third wave of attack is in the works.
Do you have someone in mind right now? Because you said all the people you did have in mind have been taken out. What do you think?
Well, most of the people we had in mind are dead. So, you know, we had some in mind from that group that is dead. And now we have another group. They may be dead also, based on reports. So I guess you have a third wave coming in. Pretty soon we're not going to know anybody.
The response from Tehran's been a mix of short-range missiles and cheap drones thrown haphazardly at our allies. U.S. Central Command's hunting down their launchers, taking them out one by one without apology or hesitation. The second they fire off a missile, we know exactly where it comes from and can take out the launch pad. Today, another Iranian drone struck near a U.S. consulate in Dubai. Thankfully, no injuries. And a CIA station at our embassy in Saudi Arabia has just been hit. Small amount of damage, no casualties. But the Saudis now say a line's been crossed. Sources believe the kingdom is very close to deploying its own air force to join the fight. Soon the Saudis will be flying sorties with the Israelis. Think about that. The entire Mideast is united against this terroristic regime. Sources tell us the next 24 hours is going to be intense. Rubio was on Capitol Hill today saying, get ready.
You're about to see, we're going to unleash Chang on these people in the next few hours and days. You're going to really begin to perceive a change in the scope and in the intensity of these attacks as, frankly, the two most powerful air forces in the world take apart this terroristic regime and defang it.
The Arab world's united, and now the Islamic Republic doesn't stand much of a chance. Trump's even been on the phone with the Kurds. We might be able to arm them and use them as boots on the ground. Europe, on the other hand, needs to be better.
And now Spain actually said that we can't use their bases, and that's all right. We could use their base if we want. We could just fly in and use it. Nobody's going to tell us not to use it, but we don't have to. But they were unfriendly, so we're going to cut off all trade with Spain. We don't want anything to do with Spain. I'm not happy with the UK either. This is not Winston Churchill that we're dealing with.
Now we know why we can't rely on NATO for Greenland. They won't let us use their bases to fight the #1 state sponsor of terror. The United States is doing the world a favor, and the administration says it was now or never.
Listen, let me explain to you guys this in simple English, okay? Iran is run by lunatics, religious fanatic lunatics. They have an ambition to have nuclear weapons. They intend to develop those nuclear weapons behind a program of missiles and drones and terrorism that the world will not be able to touch them for fear of those things. And this is the weakest they've ever been. Now is the time to go after them.
Trump's top negotiator, Steve Witkoff, says the Iranians walked up to the negotiating table dangerously cocky.
In that first meeting, both the Iranian negotiators said to us directly, with no shame, that they controlled 460 kilograms of 60%, and they're aware that that could make 11 nuclear bombs, and that was the beginning of their negotiating stance. So they were proud of it. They were proud that they had evaded all sorts of oversight protocols to get to a place where they could deliver 11 nuclear bombs.
The president said the United States needed to shoot first.
You see, we were having negotiations with these lunatics, and it was my opinion that they were going to attack first. They were going to attack. If we didn't do it, they were going to attack first. I felt strongly about that.
The White House says these are the objectives. Don't wait for Iran to get a nuke. Nuclear blackmail, no fun. And they might even launch first. Their ballistic missiles needed to go. They can already reach Europe, and in a few years, they could reach New York. Obama gave the Iranians the money to build the missiles they're shooting at us right now. What a disgrace. Their Navy must be eliminated so they can't choke off oil flows and jack up prices and cause inflation. Their terror proxies, Hezbollah, the Houthis, Hamas, have done too much damage. And the Chinese have been financing the Iranian military and buying their cheap sanctioned oil at a discount. That ends now. Iran and Venezuela, that would make two petro-dictatorships we flipped. They're proxies of Russia and China. And now we control most of the world oil market and kicked the Chinese and Russians out of the Middle East. Beijing and Moscow haven't lifted a finger to help their ally in Tehran. The whole world sees that. And all the Chinese missile defense batteries they sold to mullahs, we took them out on day one. Made in China, you get what you pay for. This war is going well. It's ahead of schedule, but it's early. In the short term, high oil prices are going to make things a little more expensive. But Trump's promising to ensure shipping through the straits and directing the Navy to escort oil tankers to keep energy flowing. The Trump administration is basically now the new Lloyds of London. So buckle up. Now we have full control of the skies. Iranian missile launches have gone from about 100 a day to now just 20. The U.S. Air Force has just begun significant bombing runs targeting every inch of the regime's military and political infrastructure. B-52s currently conducting a shock and awe campaign over the Iranian capital, targeting Republican Guard command and control nodes, as well as weapons depots and missile assembly facilities. We pray for our service members putting their lives on the line and hope that Operation Epic Fury continues to be a success.